Welcome to Circle of Hearts Radio. Journey with Grandmother Allayah as she enters her magical world of relics, sacred sites, and ancient crystal skulls. Meet with exciting trailblazer authors and individuals shifting the consciousness of humanity. Send her your questions to be answered on air on her monthly segment, Ask the Oracle. And now your host, Grandmother Allayah, in the sanctuary on the airwaves on OMTimes Radio.
Welcome to the Circle of Hearts on OMTimes Radio. I am Allayah, your host for this hour. Every month I always keep the last show of the month either to answer questions or to share insights. March is a specifically a special time for me because it's, first of all, it's astrologically my birth month. And it's always a marker. I've always found myself in times of great change. And even this month, it has been the same. I've met people that have really opened my eyes and have changed my perceptions on things. And I'm looking at things different and even more deeper. Now, during this, it's interesting just to be speaking myself, so I ask you to bear with me. I had everything planned, as I usually do, and Spirit has added a few extra things, so now I'm, trying to really kind of refocus. But what I want to bring out is I'm not that much into labels, though I've been in this lifetime have been bestowed with many labels, and which I'm grateful for. They've shown me parts of my journey. I've been given the label of a seer, a medium, wisdom keepers, medicine person, medicine woman. It keeps on developing. And then in the year 2000, after my surgery in NDE, I had walked into the world of ancient relics and ancient crystal skulls. At that time, names were also applied as walk-in, which I'm not quite sure fits. I've always seen it as an integration of my higher self. And at that time, guidance or spirit said, you're to use the name Allayah. Now this one I'm really very comfortable with, because in looking it up, the signature of the name Allayah, it says, one who shines the light upon others' paths. And this is what I really want to do on this show, is to be that flashlight, to bring in people or share my own insights and to enable people to have that aha moment, because I'm always constantly growing and understanding. And this is what I hope, to make this a very casual place that you can sit down, feel relaxed, and we all share. And the collective of humanity right now is at such a pivotal point that what we were last year, we're not now. Now, I bring this point up because if you look back at last year and see patterns of what the media has brought in, and the media is so important in helping the evolution of helping people, find themselves and to refine their energy. Now, sometimes the media has some negative points, but we're going to go for the positive. Now, this is a point I want to make with the crystal skulls. Many people do not know what the crystal skulls are, or they have some ideas about it, and I want to bring some things up to date. And of course, this is my 2 cents on the subject, my journey with the crystal skulls. To me, what I've been shown in my own work with them, they are energy tools. They're not something that comes from outer space and the 13, are going to come together and we're going to be instantly blasted into enlightenment. No, they are tools which people are drawn to help awaken them, to help refine their energy, to help people go deeper, to explore spirit. And a lot, there's so much debunking about them. Science and the metaphysical have really need to come to a point of integration. There's no really black and white. Science says, well, this can't be, or this, if they're here, this doesn't make sense. This is not, science says, I don't know how that they're created. But yet, people who work with them have vision. And this brings me to the subject of a topic where I believe the integration comes in, is intuitive archaeology. Now this is where this morning, actually at 11 o'clock, I'm sitting thinking what I'm going to talk about, and pretty much I got strong guidance of look at the word spirit, spiritual archaeology, intuitive archaeology, psychic archaeology. And I think this is where you have the need for the integration of science and the metaphysical to come together and to start working together as one. That because then we'll find the answers more. As the collective energy of humanity is awakening and people's senses are awakening, how can we deny what people see, think, or feel? Just because science says, well, this is not factual. Science, and I respect science because it's brought us to this point. But we need to go deeper. We need to go further. And once there's the integration of science and the intuitiveness, I think humanity as a collective will go far advanced. We'll move by faster. Now, I'm just going to talk a little bit more. Then in the second segment, I want to read an article which explains intuitive archaeology. This is not a new term. Actually, from the article, things have been used since the 15th century. Well, why we're not bringing it forth into the now, I don't know. So maybe this is my point in bringing it up now, for you to think about, to ponder it, and to help manifest it as part of our tools of manifesting and understanding of your own development. Because everybody around me, or people I talk to, family, friends, or people on the internet, are awakening so much, and it's a confusing time. And they start to doubt themselves. Is what I see real? And if I see this, if it's real, what do I do about it? And this is a subject that comes up a lot with crystal skulls, because people, they're called to use them. They don't know why they're using them, and they're giving their abilities and power away to other people, saying, okay, here it is, here's my crystal skull, enlighten me. Well, this does happen with contact with energy. It does enlighten you, but now you have to do the work. So this is why I want to bring up the subject of intuitive archaeology, that people, when they deal with crystals, they start to trust what they see and what they feel. And just because somebody out there says, well, that's not real, and you have given them a sense of power, saying, all right, well, this person has a PhD, and they said it doesn't exist. No, explore. Explore what your own intuition, and start to trust what you see. And the crystal skulls is a tool that it's that first step that helps you start exploring your thoughts. It starts exploring what you see. And later on this show, I'll share a little bit of my journey with the crystal skulls. It's pretty much a lot public record out on the internet. But in the past few weeks, I've come to look at things in a broader sense. And in this way that we'll see how much time we have. But, I'll bring some points up about the crystal skulls, my spiritual journey, and also something about the other relics I have, like the Bi disc, the Dropa disc, and the Star disc, how they were used. So, in history, and what I have from my own intuition been able to pick up from them. So that's why the subject of intuitive archaeology, I think, is so important, because it validates my own feelings that just because science says it's impossible, that I should dismiss what I pick up from, the relics that I have to be as true. So we will continue this in the next segment. So thank you for staying with me on this journey of openness and enlightenment.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
Know what to do, just can't figure out how to fit it all into your busy life? It doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Alan Baisberg from Seamless Life. Join me every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio and learn the how of conscious living. Let me and my guests help make your life seamless.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Host your show on AM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on AM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. AM FM.
We're back. Now, again, this morning, as I had, things planned to start a little differently, but this subject came up. And I really was strongly guided to look up those words because I think, again, we're at a point of our evolution that science and the metaphysical need to integrate together because it will enable expansion and development a lot faster, and we'll be able to understand so much more. Now, when I looked up, Googled psychic archaeology, I came up with an article which I'm going to read to you because it explains it perfectly. It was from Ancient Digger Archaeology site, and it was written in July of 2011. What is psychic archaeology? Is a topic of hot debate. Many people refute any opinions of archaeologists who employ psychics to find artifacts, or history channels who perpetuate it. The science, a term used loosely by many, isn't disappearing anytime soon. However, do you really know the history of psychic archaeology or pseudo-archaeology and the individuals who used it as early as the 15th century? Psychic archaeology or intuitive archaeology is the process of using psychic abilities to locate objects of centuries past. This recently charted path may open our possibilities to discovering new and interesting histories in the human race, whereas conventional archaeology practices can draw the objects, buildings, and even the people forth. Psychic archaeology can bring life and a sense of being to these discoveries and how they play into ancients' lives. Now, just as a side with that, many of you who may be listening, people, you watch programs on the media, Ancient Aliens, or there's a whole host of programs coming out, or people that take the travels to see the pyramids of Giza or Stonehenge or places in South America, and the visions and their experiences. But science says, well, that doesn't matter. It's not real. And it takes away from the whole experience. Like they said, science everything is not black and white. Science says, yes, this is what we see. This is, in front of our noses. But the intuitive, the visions, the experiences cannot be denied what people experience. And it brings a whole new life to the area. So keep this in mind. This is why I feel that even working with any kind of relics, or going to sites, or watching these many media programs, open your mind. And maybe as we open our mind, we'll be planting the seed of manifestation where science and archaeology and the metaphysical will integrate and actually enrich our lives into what we're experiencing. Now I continue this article. From these rerouted stories, we learn about our species' past, and in turn learn more about ourselves. Psychic archaeology was brought to the mainstream by J. Norman Emerson, a highly renowned Canadian archaeologist. His interest in this new idea was looked at with a bit of snide judgment at first, but like a true scientist, he kept studying, not to find the results that he was looking for, but to find a pattern. Eventually, with psychic George McMullen, Norman Emerson uncovered many discoveries that might not have been discovered if not for McMullen's abilities. There are several different methods psychic archaeology is used to uncover the past mysteries. Dowsing, the ancient practice of discovering earth things such as water, metal, have been recorded and is practiced as early as the 15th century. It's utilized by intuitive diggers to find electromagnetic photofields, which is said to radiate from man-made subject of 6 months or older. This is done using either metal rods or various types of branches. The dowsing rod or branch moves in accordance to the desired object, leaving the treasure hunter to the desired object. This method was used by archaeologist Karen Hunt as she studied the practice in her master thesis. This practice was even used in the military in attempts to find underground explosive devices. McMullen, however, used the ability of psychometry, which is the knack of sensing the history of an object by holding it. By holding an object, he could sense the owner, when, where, and the time. Now, as we talk and we listen, we share this, if you start thinking of the pattern here, how many people have used, remote viewing? I mean, it's not something that people necessarily talk about, but it's been hinted about that the government has used remote viewers. That why people will not acknowledge the intuitive is finally totally amazing. I mean, this has been pretty much a pet peeve in my own path, because I've often wondered, I've come across, when I started this journey with the crystal skulls, I've run into so many doors saying, this is fake, this doesn't happen, why are you seeing this, what do you think? And it makes you doubt. Now, the whole thing is, with the crystal skulls, they open you to this expansive spiritual journey. So, of course, I find it very distressing when you're trying to open up and maybe discover your soul path in life, to find out what's within you, and you have outsiders saying, this doesn't make sense. It's such a discrepancy. So this is why I think I was strongly guided to bring up the subject of intuitive archaeology and to bring up the words of the dowsing. These are, and remote viewing, these are so many things that people are familiar with, but why they do not get the recognition or the use with mainstream science totally puzzles me. Because I think, like I said, it halts our development. And this is why I wanted to bring it up and for you to ponder, because if you're ever curious about crystal skulls, and I'll go into my own journey in the next segment, it's not some fad. Shamans through many different cultures, many different times, have used thought forms made of crystals and minerals to record, it's almost like the Akasha, to place information in them, and this information to be revealed later. Some of these relics are used personally, and some of these relics are used for the collective ascension process. And I'd like to take the whole subject of crystal skulls out of the land of fantasy that people have put it into of, well, this doesn't make sense. If you're interested in ascension, if you're interested in finding your soul path, open your mind to it. It's not a big business. It's not, something media orientated. Well, let's go watch the Raiders of the Ark. Let's find out. Let's see the crystal skulls as a tool for personal understanding, for this is what they are. And every crystal that people are drawn to has a purpose, and you have to start someplace. I started someplace with my own. I mean, I just didn't walk into totally. Well, one day I'm here, not knowing anything about the crystal skulls. And the next day, I'm caretaking the ancient crystal skulls from the Himalayas. It's a process. And I'd like people to really sit there and think about that and, to realize this. You need to think. You need to use your own mind. Everybody, the collective energy of humanity is awakening. And it's important. This is what Spirit is saying. It's important for you to recognize what's in your heart and in your own spirit. And there's many available things out there to help you find yourself. This was a particular term in the 1960s. We're going to go and find ourselves. And you will be drawn to what you need to help you. Like I said, this month of March was a big discussion of crystal skulls, and that's why I am bringing this up. This is not the only tools of enlightenment that's out there. But this is what we talk about today. And this is things that I will share today. In the next segment, a little bit of my own journey with the skulls and some messages from some channeled messages that I have for you at the end of the show from my own crystal skulls that go out to the collective, which is, again, for you just to ponder, just to open your mind to it. This is where we're being brought up to the energies of the collective. You're being awakened. So,
bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences, to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on AM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio, AM FM.
Here I am again. I think I brought up this point a spiritual or intuitive archaeology, because in intuitiveness and dealing with energy tools, you need to respect what comes through, not to constantly doubt. Now, I've gone through that process a great deal. When I entered the world of crystal skulls, like prior to 1999, before my brain surgery, I always lived experienced a very unique life. Since a child, I've been awakened, and I've seen people, seen different cultures. Like I said, I'm part of public record. As I said, I was probably one of the original crystal children back in the 1950s. Very misunderstood. That's why, understanding the children coming in now is important. But we'll discuss that another time. I shut down so many times because I did not fit into this world. And many of you can, really relate to that, because that's part of your own journeys. You're aware of things, but you don't fit in, and, you shut down, only to open up again. And this is what I went through, back and forth, constantly back and forth, until really 1999. I'm trying to make this brief. I was diagnosed with a massive brain tumor in the back of my brain stem. And I think this was, the collective energy of constantly blocking the areas called the seat of the soul, constantly block this information center, coming in. So physically, a tumor was created. And, I had to go through the, regular surgery, which almost cost me my life. But that was, I had the NDE. It was not part of my soul decision. I came back. The point I was trying to basically make out is, prior to the tumor, I didn't even know what crystal skull was. After the tumor, and after I had gone onto the computer, because that was part of my rehab, trying to, coordinate my brain functions, because I was like a child. I had to, relearn to talk and eat and walk and, the whole 9 yards. But getting on the computer, it strengthened the signals to the brain, to the physical. And I figured, well, now that I have all time on my hands in this healing, I'd like to learn about crystals. And I got on some forums, and, the subject of crystal skull came up, and I had met a gentleman from Hong Kong, and we started discussing about, jade. And anyway, long story short, I got involved, out of curiosity about crystal skulls, because I felt that spirit compulsion. I need to know more, even though I had I fought with myself. I really didn't have a desire to. So I got on eBay, and this is a journey that a lot of people go through. Got on eBay, and I looked for a jade crystal skull, modern jade crystal skull, which I got. And I got it home, and for the longest time, we just looked at each other. I'm saying I was very uncomfortable with it. I didn't know what in the world I was doing with it, but yet now it's in my life. So I found jade, and that's another topic to go into. It's a very shamanistic tool. Jade essence works with you in dream time. And part of my journey was that I was shown a sacred geometry grid to create the specific minerals and quartz and laser quartz and garnets and labradorite, whole thing, in particular sequence to create this. And to put the skull in the middle, and then to bring it up 3-dimensionally. So I have, in my mind, I have this almost like a pyramid shaped thing being evolved here with the skull as the capstone. And what I had done in actuality, unbeknownst to me, was open a portal between dimensions. And thinking about this, and in parallel lives, I often wonder, trying to connect, we live in a multi-dimensional existence. If I was doing this, maybe this was a future aspect of myself, getting in touch with the present aspect of myself. I know this is getting a little complicated, but this is where my brain is, trying to even expand further on the experience. But anyway, making it short, opening up that portal, I found contacts with, out of the blue, the gentleman from Hong Kong who had recently recovered a cache of, I don't know, maybe there was 15 quartz skulls plus, some small quartz skulls from the Himalayas. And he said, "Did you want to work with an ancient crystal skull?" And even though I had no idea what I was doing, I said, "Of course." So we made arrangements. And this was really the start of, an amazing journey with the Himalayan skulls. I think I was attracted through soul contract-wise with the Himalayan skulls because back in my 20s, I had a spiritual awakening. And a lot of what I saw was with the ascended masters of Shambhala. So now thinking back, I think that's why it's interesting that I do work with the Himalayan skulls. They're not as well known as other skulls, though they have gained their recognition, but they have had their importance in my path. And one of the first ones that, came to me was Frank has said, "Well, I'm sending one that calls to be with you." I said, "Sure." This is how innocent I was. Sure, no, send that one. And it turns out, prior to her coming, I started to see her in my vision. I started to feel the energy. I would smell roses. And then I heard like a lilting Oriental female voice announcing, "I am the White Tar." Now, I had no clue who, what, or anything about Buddhism, the White Tar, etc. And I have a crystal skull announcing herself to me before arrival to me. This is who I am. Now, I bring this up because many people who are drawn to crystal skulls, their whole journey with them, it starts with that initial contact. Something in their brain says, "Well, all right, well, let's look this up." And then it just keeps developing, however it is for their highest good. So this is my journey, and I'm sure some people will see parts of themselves in there. Now, I've written down some of in my journal that I'm going to read to you about the Tara, because again, this is all so intuitive. Now, people that knew about crystal skulls before, or the science of crystal, or people discovering them all over and books being written about them, or saying what you have has no scientific basis. But yet in my heart, I knew this was a very important part of my path. Now, just to share a little bit about what I had in my journal about it with the Tar, because during this time of pre-arrival, I would have visions in color of the Mother Mary and the fragrance of roses, and of Isis standing before me in full color and vision, and Kuan Yin, another goddess energy I soon became very acquainted with. I realized this is all happening, and I really began to wonder if I was all there. So, but in time, I learned what I've seen in this guidance to be real, and this is why I want to bring these things up. Because as her arrival came closer, I would get so many visions of female deities of many cultures. It took me a while to figure this out. This crystal being connected to the mother ray of source. Within her, I would find the divine mother of the world energies. As her arrival time got closer, I had amazing manifestations. Periodically, my back and my front yard was literally covered with hundreds of blackbirds chirping, and then they appeared. And as suddenly as they appeared, they disappeared. The day she arrived, I was looking out the door, as Frank had said, to watch for his arrival. I saw two people in my driveway dressed in brown uniforms, so nondescript except that their skin was blue, and they nodded to me. I was shocked. I looked again, and they were gone. I started to doubt myself, but in my heart I knew I saw blue-skinned people in my driveway. I don't often share this story, but now I feel it's time for people to recognize the Tara and her purpose here. Believe if you wish or not. I'm not going to put, I said I don't care, but I do. We will continue this journey shortly.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I've tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Host your show on AM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on AM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. AM FM.
I just noticed the time as I've gone so lost in thought here. There's so much to share on these journeys, but there's a lot to get in. I'm not even going to be able to even really touch upon some things, but the Tara skull is important because she's the main one that I do work with, and she is very connected to the Divine Mother energies. But just to continue the real quick part of my journal, and it it validates the idea of using psychometry in the use of anything, relics or any kind of energy work. That it's real. And I'm hoping by sharing these things, you start to recognize your own information that comes through as being real. Now, we had gone to the point of the blue-skinned people in my driveway, which was quite a shock because in the year 2000, I was not very comfortable with the idea of, extraterrestrial. So this was like, okay, I'm saying this, I'm really losing it, and, I don't want to open the door. But to continue, because I was so shaken that when the doorbell rang, I was afraid to answer, not knowing what to expect. It was a regular man, and the box containing her was hot to the touch. I opened it and was hit with a wave of energy that caused my neck to tighten up and take my breath away. And I heard a quiet sigh as if she was glad to be returned to my hands. Unless I experienced this, I could have never made it up. And so she arrived and the journey begins. And she is one of a trinity of crystal skulls I have. Himalayan skulls. I have others, which sometime I will go into more detail, but the Himalayan skulls form a very foundational trinity here. The white tar, which holds the Divine Mother aspect, Melchizedek, another ancient Himalayan skull, the patriarchal energies connects to the angels hierarchy and also to the path of service, which I express in doing this show like this, is to help awaken humanity. And then the third one I have is the white dove. I guess you can say, the mother, father, and child. The white dove, very important symbolically, the Christic energies, the energies of the heart, the energies of where we're at now, of where mankind is. So you have these three very important energies that have, again, are now in this present dimension, working, establishing, anchoring heaven to earth. So this is part of my journey with the crystal skulls. I want to briefly, as I touched upon my experience with the tar, the crystal skull, I have a little bit of time, as it's going by very quickly, to touch upon some other things I have, which, people are curious about, the bi disc or the Dropa disc or a star disc I have. Again, these are relics. The Dropa disc has come into prominence or into the media again through Ancient Aliens and, other programs. And so it was a disc, circle within circle, that was found in the mountains in western China, supposedly left by aliens that were stranded. Now, a lot of this information, to make it brief, can be found on the internet on the Dropa disc. There's not a whole lot known, mostly again because a lot of information has been hidden. But from my own experience with this disc, and I haven't always worked with it because my vibration has not necessarily met up with it. So it's been very quiet. But lately, as I've become more aligned with it, this is what, I've been seeing, that the disc is sort of a light grayish color with certain striations on it, and there's, a lot of patina. It's not jade, but yet, upon really closer look at it, there's little points of jade in it. It must have been like a mineral composition. there is parts shown on it that are these deep blue or cobalt blue. If you run your fingers across it, it's almost a feeling of braille, like a braille, that I could possibly feel something from it, or hear something, or read words. I always got the visual that if you could put this disc in some kind of machine, almost like a CD, that you would get a holographic picture, you would see codes. In feeling the disc, this is where my psychic senses come in. What I have felt from it is very high vibrating. I have felt the cold, the wet, the damp of the area, of the mountainous areas. You know, I felt that, you know, things were recorded on here, you know, to be put as part of a record of what had happened when they were found. I have seen the woods. I have felt the caves that they were placed in safekeeping. So the whole point of this is, again, the use of your intuitive feel to pick up on objects. So I think that's the whole, you know, thing that I want people to recognize when they do work with things, to believe and to recognize the information that, you know, is brought out. Now, I see I have 5 minutes left. I have 2 channels that, for my other 2 skulls, that, you know, I wish to end this show with. And I thank you for listening to my ramblings. And there's so much information to share. And of course, you know, time goes so quickly. But the point of these 2 channels from these skulls, again, it's to you as the collective humanity, for you to find yourself, to open your eyes and, you know, to take away so much of the illusions and the negativity that's around you, and really to see the light and to return to spirit and to be who you are. So let me get this in quickly before I run out of time. Melchizedek. Now this Melchizedek is one of my ancient Himalayan crystal skulls, and I'm not always a channeler, so this is one of these things that basically Spirit sat me down and said, okay, you need to write this out. So here we go. It goes to the community of Earth Guardians. The time has come to lift the veils from your eyes. Radiate the light within you and join as one to manifest the cities of light upon this ascended planet. As in times of old, you now have the chance to create and experience a life of light. This is within your grasp. The energies of light and darkness have been misunderstood over eons of time. Dark is only energy that has not been exposed to light of the source. It is the raw energy of matter of creation, understood by those whose intentions were self-serving at the time. It is time to take the self-imposed blinders off and stop being led and not discerning intuitively what is right for you, but to see that all is composed of light matter. It is the time to join hands in the brilliance of light that is before you. The veils of illusion are dissolving quickly because of this exposure and understanding of light energy. You came to this planet to experience the energy of creation, to create beauty within and without. Take back the light that was within you. Take back the love for all within your heart. Clear your sight so as to see the light and love within every thought form on this planet. This is the beginning of the new dawn of man. Please think on these words. Let them touch your heart and open your heart and open your minds. I am Melchizedek, is the voice of Allayah. Now one last one before we go. This was from a channel from one of my ancient crystal beings called Yahweh. It says, I'm a facet of the collective source. My signature tone name is Yahweh. We stem from many star energies. We're part of your solar ray, Ra, and come through as the peacemakers of this era. So many have re-emerged to be reunited with the ones who came from before, our ancestors. We have returned to help raise the vibratory wave of the collective energy world. This is the air.
Thank you.